Hello, Dan, and welcome to the first episode of The Creative Appetite, and welcome everyone else who is watching.
You! Thank you, Jesse. Appreciate you having me here.
No, my pleasure.
Your set is looking incredible, by the way.
I know, it's something I whipped up at an earlier stage in the year.
Yep.
You know, I think this is all pallet board.
Yeah, you would know that it's pallet board because you built it, right?
Yes, it's exactly right. No, I'm very lucky that you are letting me share this space and take my first pilot episode to air.
What a good first episode to have, if I do say so myself.
I agree. Do you find that, like, as a podcaster, when people say going to air isn't actually like going to air? Because on a radio show,
it's going to air because it's live.
It is going to air because it's live, but on the podcast, it's not. So would it be going to pod air?
But what's air?
Well, this is what I was driving here, and I was like, what does air mean? Because...
No, because isn't the saying live on air?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, but what's air?
Yeah, I don't know. You've really got me muffled here.
I was stumped driving here. I was like, what is
Well, we're
air?
not really live on air, are we? We're just live in the moment.
No, but there are podcasts out there where people are like, yeah, we're live on air. Well, let's go. And I'm like...
Yeah, well, you're not live on air.
But you're not live on air. So therefore, it's not true.
False information.
That's why I was going to change it to let's get live on pod air.
All right, let's get live on pod air.
There we go. It's a new saying for all the young podcasters out there.
Love it. I might use that myself.
You should.
Yeah, I will.
Let's get live on pod air. And I was like, oh my God. All right, let's get down to the nitty gritty.
Let's
So
go.
we're getting a bit sidetracked. All right. So the whole purpose of this podcast is to inspire the uninspired and create, I guess, not motivation, but a type of energy that I feel when I'm around people that inspire me to be more creative and step outside of the comfort zone. Because I find that when I'm not around these type of people, life stresses and all that gets in the way, and then you forget that when you're around other people that are also like-minded individuals and they're doing something that is different outside the box, it gives you this... I guess like it gives you this heightened sense of state of consciousness where you're like, oh, I feel really good and I want to get out there and I want to achieve something great. I want to do whatever it may be. And this is why I started the podcast. I started it because it wasn't necessarily just for creative people, like even people in business that if that's the thing that gets them going, like it's just so... I want people to feel the energy that I feel when I'm like speaking to people like yourself.
Like-minded individuals.
Yeah, like-minded individuals.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I think it comes down to like energy is alive at the end of the day. Like it's a real thing. It's a frequency that we feel. So when we talk to people that are interested in the same stuff as us, naturally we sort of feel some sort of resemblance with them, I guess, on like an energetic field.
Yeah.
If you're spiritual about that stuff, because I love all that stuff.
Yeah, that's why I love it too.
Yeah.
And I know there are people out there that aren't spiritual, but I don't necessarily think that you have to be spiritual to feel that connection, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, it's not even spiritual because, like, energy is alive. It's literally been proven. Like, it is a living...
It's science, really.
Exactly right. So, yeah, technically, it's not spiritual. It's science.
Yeah. So if all you crazy scientists out there that are like, spirituality is not real, it's like, okay.
You guys invented and proved it.
But you proved it yourself. So, I don't know.
No, but I definitely agree with the like-minded individuals thing. I think getting around people that are like-minded, that's why you love the mastermind so much, is just because it's such like it's like being around people, like if you consider yourself having like 10 energy points, right? Being with certain people, so you may be going to work, you know, you go to work and you got that one person you just hate talking to, you just really don't want to talk to.
Yeah.
And it's like you talk to them and you give them 6 out of your 10 energy points for the day and you leave and you really don't get anything out of the conversation.
This is the first time I've thought about this.
Really?
I've never...
Yeah, so like I always consider energy points like a return on investment, right? So like if you're putting energy into someone, you want to be getting something out. Otherwise, it is wasting your energy points. That's why I'm so careful who I give my energy to.
Yeah, that actually makes sense because today, for example, at work, there's a couple of people there that I just don't want to give my energy to. And I find it's like a bit of a double-edged sword. You have these energy points and you're trying to keep them preserved. but sometimes without you even speaking to that person, they drain that from you because just being around them is quite difficult because you want to speak to them and you want to open them up a little bit more, maybe just to get on a work level, like good work relations level. But you know that even if you say something, it's like zaps you of two of those points.
It does, yeah, 100%. And just being around people in that environment and that energy can be taken away from you without you even needing to try. Like being in the presence of certain people can make you feel a certain way. Like, I don't know if you noticed, but when you walked into the office, you get filled with like this, just like creative juice and just all this good stuff. Well, I hope you did.
No, well, that's what that's what I'm talking about. Like you walk in somewhere and you're just like, oh, like you just feel this heightened. It's like the energy's trying to leave your body because you're just trying to like, you're like, oh man, I feel so good. Like I'm so excited to be doing whatever it is that you're about to do because you know that at the end of it, you're going to be leaving there just feeling so good. It's like when people go to the self-help like day retreats or they read something that they find super interesting and then they want to go out and share that energy with their friends and family. And I find that sometimes, like we spoke about on Tuesday night, sometimes your family or friends might not feel or share that same type of energy. So that can be depleting as well.
100%. And like I've got one rule in here, I've only got one rule in this office, and it is energy. Negative energy stays out, and positive energy is the only energy that's allowed in. So like, and Jaron can contest to this as well. Like the number one rule in this office is if you're in a shit mood, just don't come to the office. Or if you're in a shit mood and you can come here and be in a good mood, come. But if you're in a shit mood, just stay away because I don't want the energy here.
You don't. Then it actually sucks. Like it really damages.
It's like a vacuum cleaner, bro.
It's like, and we're gonna just stop everything. Stop motivation. Stop the ball rolling. I feel like you need to have a negative routine. So if you're about to walk in here and you're feeling negative, 10 star jumps, and then we'll see how you.
We might have to implement that. We'll put an ice bath at the front door. Yeah.
Oi, they're dangerous. I did an ice bath on the weekend.
Did you?
And for shout out to Chris Walker. I'm just gonna little plug here.
Yeah. First, I love Chris.
He's so amazing.
Yeah,
he just
awesome.
brings this really good energy.
Yeah.
And so a friend of mine had the ticket and had the what's it called? Like when the day sheet of how things are going to pan out.
Yep.
I didn't have that. I never saw it. All I saw was bring X, Y, Z.
Oh, because you went to Chris Walker's day retreat.
Yeah. But
cool.
I didn't, because my friend had the ticket and he had to do some other stuff. So he was like, would you like to go? And I was like, yeah, okay, I'll go, give it a go. Because I'm super open to just trying new things.
Yeah.
So I had no idea what to expect. And everyone's getting ready and they're all gearing up. And I was like, is that an ice bath? They're like, yeah, we're going to be doing that at some point. And everyone's like, oh my God, I've been dreading this. I knew this was coming up. And I'm standing there going, well, this is the first I've heard about it. So I'm just going to have to take this on.
How'd you go with it?
I struggled. It's really I do the hot and cold pools at TLC in Maroochydore.
Yep.
But there's something like when you're sitting in ice and your hands are underneath in the water, like all of the blood comes from the extremities, and my hands were so sore. Everything else was fine.
Hands always get the sorest.
Everyone's like, oh, you should have had your hands out of the water. I was like, well, that would have been good information prior to getting into the water.
You get the full experience if they're under.
Yeah, people were like putting their head under. I was like,
yeah, me and Jan did that at the Cool to Be Conscious one.
How? Yeah, I've heard about that.
Yeah, we stuck our head under.
See, like, to me, also, like, Cool to Be Conscious, Travel Fit, all those, like, brands, like, that to me is positive energy. Like, that is creativity. That is, like, what you, like, when people go, I've heard the people that went to the Cool to Be Conscious events, they are leaving and feeling elevated. They're like, oh, I feel really good. And whether that may be, they're like, all right, I'm going to go now and venture off and really focus on my dream or whatever it may be. But at least you're leaving with that positive energy, which I guess is the whole, I don't know, I think the older you get, like I'm 28.
Don't look a day over 27.
My heart. But yeah, like I think the older you get, the more you understand yourself and you understand that actually that is what I chase. Like I'm chasing this positive energy. I'm trying to surround myself now with people that are going to be providing a positive service, I guess, if that makes sense. It's like
it's all energy exchange, coming back to energy again. So it's like when you excuse me, when you've got two people, right, or like anybody, right, you can walk up to absolutely anybody in the world. It doesn't matter who it is. And two things are going to happen when you leave that conversation. You're either going to feel better or worse than you did when you walked up to that person. So you may have someone in your family, like that old Uncle Jim, and you go to the family barbecue twice a year, and you tell him about your dreams, and you feel good when you're walking up there, and then you tell him, he's like, oh, but what if this doesn't work, and that doesn't work, and this and that, and have you thought about this, and like only negative things, you're going to leave feeling worse. Or you can walk up to your great nana, and she'll be like, oh yeah, go Jesse, you can do anything you want to do, and you leave feeling better. But very rarely, and almost never, do we have do we converse with people and we feel the same as we did than when we first approached?
Is there someone, so now that we're on this topic, there's a friend of mine, like a dear friend of mine, who he's helped me grow and just become a better person just purely by being around him.
Yeah.
And he's not when you look at him, you're like, oh, like I think we look quite different as people. But his energy is so positive. He's like a big ball of fun. And it doesn't matter whether you're speaking to him on the phone or in person. But every time I leave, I feel amazing.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, is there someone like that for you that you have where you just know that it wouldn't even matter if you didn't speak to him for months, but you just know that when you do speak, you're just like, oh, like I'm ready. Like this is, yes.
Yeah, I got a few people like that. I got, quite a few people like that. But I'm also careful on how much I rely on other people for like my feeling of joy.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That makes sense. So like I heavily rely on myself for everything. So whether that be like running my businesses, being happy, everything, right? I try to not rely on external sources too much, because I feel like when we rely on others, we create an expectation. And then when we create expectations, they usually lead to disappointments.
That could be taken very dark, or you could use that as a positive. I think I agree, because I'm very self-driven as well, and I try not to rely on other people.
Yeah.
Is there any process that you use, like to help someone? So someone who's listening right now and they're like, I don't really understand what he means by that. Like when you're feeling stressed or anxious, or even when you're feeling happy, what are the processes that you use to identify the feelings that you're feeling, and then how do you implement them to maintain for an extended period of time?
Can you give me some context?
So, for example, today I was feeling really manic and I was like freaking out, and I was dealing with a lot of stress and anxiety off caffeine.
Yep.
When you take a lot. So then I was analysing myself, and I was going, okay, well, I'm feeling like this because of this. How do I break that down and then understand it so I can move forward? So I guess what I'm trying to say is, because you're so self-driven, like myself, do you use similar way? So like when you meet someone, you're like, okay, today I was like, I'm feeling really excited to be speaking to Dan, and like I got all this energy, but I need to manage it so that I don't over-exhaust myself when I'm speaking to him, so I can like project the energy at a base even level, so then my happiness is extended for an hour rather than going 20 minutes of like woo, and then I'm like, now I'm feeling really flat.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, it makes 100%. 100% sense. That was so complicated.
100 cents.
Yeah,
of
percent. Yeah. No, it definitely makes sense. I think for me is in that sense. So we've definitely got a different sort of personality, but both self-driven.
Yeah.
So for me, my energy levels, I would say, because of being who I am and the things that have happened in my life and where I want to get to, I would say that my purpose and my passion provides me equal amount of energy throughout the day, to the point where I don't get me wrong, I get to the end of the day and I feel buggered, but in the sense of what you're talking about, of like being like overhyped and then sort of crashing, I don't know how or what advice I would give for that, because I don't know if I find myself in that situation.
That's fair. I feel like I went to a doctor and I was like, do I have ADHD? He said to me, he's like, I think you're too old to be diagnosed. And I was like, okay, well, this might be.
I've definitely got ADHD, 100%.
I was like, I'm pretty sure everyone seems to be telling me, but this is neither here nor there. But I guess for you, because you are so driven. And like you don't drink or do anything. Do you drink coffee?
No, so I don't. So I'll tell you some fun facts about myself.
Yes.
Okay, we'll have like 5 fun facts. Okay, fun fact number 1 is I don't like sushi.
Crucial.
Fun fact number 2 is when I eat and you give me my knife and fork, I hold my fork in the right hand and my knife in the left hand, which is backwards to what everyone does. And number 3 is I have never had any alcohol. Number 4, I've never had any drugs, never done any form of drugs or smoked any cigarettes. And number 5, I can ride a bike backwards.
I'm going to use this. We're going to go 5 fun facts from now on every guest.
Yeah.
And I reckon that's going to be hard to top.
I don't know if you can top that.
You can't.
Yeah, no, that's pretty good fun facts.
I'm upset about the sushi.
You are? So you can't offer me on a lunch date now?
No, we're just going to have to go to other places.
Yeah, well,
Riding a bike backwards, I can ride backwards.
Can you ride backwards?
Yeah.
How?
On the handlebars.
Do you sit on the handlebars and pedal?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's not cool then.
Can you do, is that what you
Yeah, that's what I do.
I can do that.
Oh.
Yes.
How fast can you go though? Can you like literally ride around a town?
Yeah.
Like I could ride around a town
I
and
could ride
like,
down Namble Hill.
I could.
Ooh, yeah, see, I'm not a daredevil.
But
though,
that's not skill, that's just stupidity.
That's dangerous.
Yeah, that's really dangerous. Don't do that.
The knife and fork thing, that's a new one.
Yeah, and I don't have salt and pepper on any of my food.
Really?
Yeah. That's another one.
I
Just
don't
weird
really
things.
like pepper. I
No.
do like salt though.
Yeah, no, I don't like either of them.
Oh, this is really good.
Yeah.
And I find like this is another thing which shocked me when we spoke about it on Tuesday is that you don't do drugs or alcohol. Do you drink coffee?
No.
So
No, I don't drink any coffee.
Do you drink tea?
No.
So you like not that tea's really nice, but like coffee obviously elevates your like
It alters your state of like
Releases,
consciousness, I
like,
guess.
yeah, high cortisol and like makes you anxious and blah blah blah. But it doesnn't happen for everyone. There's people out there that can drink coffee at like 10.
Yeah, people drink like 5-10 coffees a day. It's crazy.
Like, who's drinking coffee before bed? Like, what do you?
My brother does that. He can drink coffee whenever he wants.
What are his dreams like? Is he having
I don't know. Maybe he dreams about coffee.
Maybe. Definitely getting. I don't know. We're not getting off sidetrack. Oh, actually, we're not getting sidetracked because another part of this podcast is to bring the person that I'm talking to like a level that everyone else can understand.
It's humanizing people as well.
Because that's the word I was looking for.
It's so easy to just like talk to people about like all these things and just be like such a like a systemized way. But like I've got podcasts that I listen to that is so like refreshing because it's just like a genuine human conversation.
Yeah.
So I think it's sick.
Because I found in the past, like watching and listening to people talk, they make it so, like regimented. And it's like we have to ask these type of questions or we can't.
We don't have anything written down. We didn't talk about anything before this.
No, literally nothing. Like I don't have any script. This is always going to be open forum because I just want to project like the human experience and show people that there's like this is what I'm talking about. This is the energy that you're with someone. You're like, oh my god, like
this is the appetite of the creatives on set right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
See?
We're
using things.
Let's go.
Sharing things. Oh, just so everyone else knows that you have your own podcast as well. And what is the name of this podcast?
Yeah, so I got a passion. I got a passion
for podcasts.
I got a passion project. I got a podcast, and the name is The Passion Project.
Can you explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, so The Passion Project is literally, it's a podcast based around entrepreneurship, mindset, and personal development. So it's a guest-based podcast, basically delving into the mind of like-minded individuals, just to help people level up their life and get the most out of life possible. And yeah, it's just basically, it's in line with my whole journey in life is to inspire people.
That's good. I'm glad that because even when we spoke about it on Tuesday, I was like, that still resonates with me because it's still like business and being an entrepreneur and all those type of things is still that same energy that we've been talking about. It's just in a different like space.
I had a struggle with this because I don't know if you know, I used to do photography.
No.
/ still do photography. So so that's why I got a camera on my arm.
Oh, no, I think we mentioned this, but I don't think we delved into it. It was just like, oh, this is...
I used to do photography, and on my Instagram, it was so hard, like, because I'm really interested in business. But I think about 2 and a bit years ago, I had a realization that I was a creative person, but not in a certain niche. I was just a creative being. So whether that being creating literally anything, man, like creating businesses, content, like podcasts, inspirational content, whatever it is, being a creative for me means more than just being a content creator or something like that.
Yeah. So
I express my creativity through my clothing brand, through my podcast, through everything else that I'm sort of doing.
Yeah.
So that's sort of like...
Yeah, I can resonate. Like, I can feel that because I've done multiple different, like, creative things.
Yeah, you've done all your own stuff, hey?
Yeah. All like heaps. It will come out later on in life. But, I've done similar stuff where it's just, like, a bunch of different creative things and it's never really been wrapped into one.
Yep.
Whether that be, like, with business or being creative, and, like, similar to you, like, trying to tie the two together but not really knowing how. Where I feel like you've, like, cracked it. You're like, your fingers on the pulse now.
Yeah.
Like, just after speaking to you on Tuesday, it's like, I'm doing this and then I've got this and this is how this is tying in. So what we should do is actually talk about these things.
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm keen. Started hitting the 5 fun facts of life. How about...
I've never talked about any of this stuff, by the way. This
really?
is the first podcast I've ever talked about it on. Not even my own.
That's so good. All right. What one do you want to start with? Because you've got quite a few.
You're the host.
All right, let's start with the clothing brand because that was the first one I learned about.
Yep.
Where did it start? Where did the idea come from? Was it hard to start? Was it crazy at the was it crazy idea at the start and you had self-doubt? Or did you just go, yeah, bang, I'm 100% doing this?
Yeah, so throughout this podcast at some point we'll touch base on why I've sort of gone the way I've gone in life. But with the clothing brand, the idea actually came around about 2018, I believe.
Yeah.
And I'll show you something actually on my phone, which I'll send to you and you can put up on the screen. It's actually quite interesting. Venture, which is my clothing brand, was actually meant to be a watch brand. So in, I believe, 2019, actually, sorry, I was about ready to fly out to China with a good friend of mine.
Yep.
And we were going to go to China. We had a couple grand between us, and we were going to fly to China and go to the Canton Fair. The Canton Fair is like a massive like manufacturing fair over, and it's like a 5-day event. So to the point where we pretty much had flights booked, and we had like accommodation was ready to be booked, and we were in the process of looking at hiring a translator to follow us around the whole time to talk to these people.
So you could liaise
so we could find a manufacturer to get these watches made.
Yeah.
So we had everything mapped out. We had the designs, the packaging, the brand movement, how we're going to sell them, everything. And then COVID hit.
Favorite friend.
Yeah. So that was canned. So at that point, we still could have went over there. But if we went over there, the borders actually would have shut while we went over there.
Yeah, you would have got stuck.
We would have been
like
stuck
a lot of people.
Over in China. So we decided not to, and then gosh, we did. And at the time, I was really bummed because I'd put so much and poured so much energy into this brand and this whole idea, and this was everything I was banking on. I was like, yes. I was like, you know when you work so hard on stuff, because I've always worked on things, and then you do something, you're like, yeah, this is it.
Yeah.
That's what it was like.
You're like, that was like the pinnacle moment. You're like, this, like the next step is going to change everything.
That was it. I was like, yeah, I said, like, this is literally it. This is like the rock flip that I needed in life. And then COVID hit, and then we didn't go. And so me and my best friend were working on it at the time. And back then, nothing ever came from it. We were just nothing was really mentioned about it again. So it just got swept under the rug. But I kept having like venture and like hashtag the venture awaits.
Yeah.
In my mind, and I just could not get it out. And I remember I was on Mount Cootha one night down in Brisbane with my friend at the time, or like my friend, and I was just like, couldn't stop thinking about it. And I just looked at him and I was like, man, I can't get this out of my head. I want to turn this into a fucking clothing label. Because it wasn't the watches I was passionate about. It was the message that the brand was.
Okay.
And what the brand was about. So it didn't matter how I got that across. I just had to work out how I could get it across. And what I realized is I wasn't in love with selling watches. I was in love with selling the brand and what the brand's about, the image that the brand held and the way that it made people felt.
Yeah, it's not like it wasn't necessarily the product. It was just...
The product was just a vehicle for me to be able to get that across. So I turned around and I said, I think we want to... I said, let's just turn this into a clothing brand. And it was sort of like, he was like, yeah, let's do it. Yeah, I'm keen. But I don't think he realised how serious I was.
That's the best time, I find. When
Yeah.
you're like, no. Like, this isn't, like, I'm being 100%.
So I went home the next day, and for the next 2 weeks, I literally drove around to every single screen printing place on the Sunshine Coast, every sticker place, everywhere. I took a notepad with me. I vlogged the whole thing, and I was like talking to everybody. I ended up in people's garages in Mountain Creek with home screen printing setups.
That's crazy.
That's how many people I talked to. So for literally 2 whole weeks, every single day after work, every day I had off, was driving to all these different places around the Sunshine Coast, talking, calling, email, writing out prices. I had like a whole notebook full of prices from all these different people.
Yeah.
I picked up brochures, samples of shirts. I ordered like 10 different samples from 10 different manufacturers. I went to Kmart. I bought transfer paper, put it in my printer, printed Venture out on the transfer paper, ironed it on in my bedroom, because I thought that was going to be able to work.
Yeah.
I can't believe I was thinking that, but like, you know, that's what I was doing, and people don't understand, because I get so many messages on my account and people are like, oh, I really got this good idea and I want to start a brand, but I just don't really know where to start. Like, who do you use to get your clothes supplied? And it's like, if you can't even put the work into working out how to get your clothes supplied, this isn't the right industry for you.
Well, I guess... but the way I find that the way you work is quite like intense. So like for you, because you're so passionate, you're like, right, well, I don't really care how I'm going to get this. It's just going to happen. So I'll go everywhere.
It's a shark mentality. So do you know the 4 personality types?
No.
So you're a dolphin and I'm a shark. A shark is result orientated. So don't really... can we swear on this?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck yeah. Yeah. I think I've already been swearing. But yeah,
sorry.
Sharks don't give a fuck about how they're going to get there. They just get there. And they just keep going till they get there.
Yeah.
So that's when I say that, I'm like, I don't understand how these people don't do that. That's coming from the shark mentality where I'm like...
What's the dolphin?
So a dolphin...
This is so good.
Yeah, so the dolphins are like just very fun. They love fun things. They're very outgoing. They're extroverted. Well, you have introverted and extroverted of each thing. Yeah. But yeah, dolphins like... They don't care as long as it's fun.
Yeah.
That's all.
And what are the other 2?
Urchins are very detail orientated.
Yeah.
So they care about all the little details. Are a little bit slower moving. So Jaren's an urchin. So urchins care more about the details. So Jaren is an urchin. So he's a little bit slower moving, but he has shark tendencies.
Yeah, I was about to ask because...
So you have a primary and a secondary.
Yeah.
So your primary dolphin, I don't know you well enough to know what your secondary would be.
You could have shark.
You'd have shark mentality where you're like, I want to fucking get this done. I don't care. I'm getting it done.
Yeah. Like this afternoon when I was talking to my roommate, I was like, I don't give a fuck what happens, but I'm 100% getting to these like goals that I've set out.
So you're a dolphin shark.
Yeah.
So primary dolphin, secondary shark.
I'm actually trying to become more shark. I'm trying to like...
Don't change.
No, I'm not. I don't want to change. Like I'll never. I can't change. Like I'll never change. Yeah. But I want to. I'm at the stage of my life at the moment where I can just put the dolphin.
You need to push the dolphin aside and be like, let's go. I need to get some results.
Like push like the negative people out of my life. Cut all that stuff away, and then really focus, because, like you said, like as a dolphin, it's so funny talking.
Yeah, it's hilarious. Yeah,
it makes it so good. But yeah, as like a dolphin, I am so fun loving and outgoing that I get distracted.
Yep.
And then I get upset at myself because I'm not achieving what I'm trying to achieve.
So that's your secondary coming in, the shark, and going, wait, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's like you've just wasted like that whole week that you could have been doing this.
And then the dolphin's like, but I had fun.
Yeah.
And then the shark's like, no, results.
Yeah, it's just like this constant battle. So now I'm like, no, I'm going to take the shark side this time and actually start pushing all this like the podcast. This podcast idea has been around for 12 months now.
Yeah.
I had a podcast prior to this that I never released. It was always sitting under wraps.
Yep.
So when I moved here, I came up with this idea and I was like, you know what? I've just had enough. I've had enough of not pursuing this goal.
Yep.
Or any goal. It's because what happens is when you get there's this theory that like a neuroscientist was talking about. And when you get validation from your idea, certain people will take that and run with it and really push it. And then other people find that validation is enough, if this makes sense. So I'll give you an example. So when I first pitched this idea to some friends, they're like, that's really great. You should really do it. And I felt really, not elated, but I felt really good about myself. I was like, yeah, this is great. And then because I was feeling so good, once that feeling went away, like it was like this sense of achievement that I was looking for was just the validation from my friends. And then I like put it to the wayside and I was like, oh yeah, that's good enough for me. And then
so you got there's 3 types of people in the world. You got people that want to be heard, people that want resolutions, and you want people that want reassurance.
Yeah.
So dolphins are more tendency to have reassurance. Whales is another personality type. There's 4. So you got dolphins, whales, sharks, urchins.
5. Because you said whales.
No, whale, dolphin, shark, urchin.
Numbers. If you're watching this, you'll understand. But if you're not watching this, it's just like fingers coming up.
My fingers are a little bit, how you going? I'll probably start 2 up at the end. I don't know. But yeah, so you got 4 types of personality types. So you've got your resolution, right? So me being a shark, if I ask you what the problem is, like if I'm doing something wrong, I want you just to tell me what the problem is. I don't care about the story. I don't care about the context. If I have done something in my business and I've stuffed it up, I want it blunt and brutally honest, and I just want it how it is. I don't care about the story. Just tell me what I'm doing wrong and I'll change it.
Yeah, that's how I'm the same.
Yeah, so that then
it's like straight to the point.
So your secondary sharks coming in, and then you got your dolphins, which are mainly reassurance.
Yeah,
and also / wanting to be heard. And urchins are also predominantly wanting to be reassured. So they'll tell everybody, or not tell everybody, but they'll tell people what they want to do to have them go, oh yeah, that's a really good idea. You should do that. And then you got your whales, and they mainly just want to be heard. They don't actually want anything out of it. They just want you to sit there and just listen to them.
I wonder if anyone else has heard about it, because this is the first time I've heard about this, and I find it...
I've only just recently learned about it.
All right, guys. You should do some research because I'm going to, because I find this really cool.
I'll send you some resources.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, it's cool.
All right, let's bring it back to the clothing next. We should get sidetracked again. So the last thing we spoke about before we got talking about whales and dolphins was that you were sitting on this hill with your friend and you were like, no, I'm very serious. This is how it's going to be. And then you went out, did all this research, started going all over the place by the sounds of it, which is crazy because I love that.
And then I did about 3,000 kilometers in a week.
Yeah, which is
on the Sunshine Coast.
Insane. If anyone, well, obviously everyone knows that 3,000 kilometers is insane. Like that is a lot.
Spent like $400 on fuel that week. Like that's literally how much I was driving. It was ridiculous.
But it's like all that hard work is like it's paying off because look at this space, like everything. And this is what I'm like trying to project. Like you put your mind to it. I know that sounds cliche and everyone's like, oh, but like if you literally like just go, just the first step, everything's about the first step. Just go, you know what? I've had enough and I want to do this and I want to I just want to go. And that's where I reckon like you probably don't need that motivation because you're just like, I'm just going to do it anyway.
I don't believe in motivation.
I know it's a bad word.
So I noticed at the start of it, you said you're very driven and I was going to say, I like that. Yeah. Because I think motivation is an emotion.
It's temporary.
It's temporary. So so motivation is temporary. It leaves as fast as it comes. Yeah. Being driven is a permanent state of mind. Yeah. Is how I consider it.
Yeah, no more M word. We're cutting that away. No more M word.
No M word.
If I say M word, I'm doing 10 push-ups.
Oh crap! That's
Not on camera.
Oh,
yeah,
I was
on
going
camera.
to say. Oh,
you
yeah,
can't
yeah,
have to. you got to
You
do
threw
it.
yourself under the bus.
Yeah,
then.
yeah. Oh well. But yeah, so let's get back to that. So you've had people contact you asking how to.
Get it all the time. Probably
Yeah.
about 10 a day.
Yeah. And what is your response to people? Do you like just cut them down, or do you?
No. So Jaron will agree with this. He's got headphones on at the moment, but I will walk around the office for about 10 minutes sending them voice messages on how I got started and what I did.
Yeah.
So I try to help as many people as I can. And I honestly probably put too much time into sending people voice messages.
Yeah.
Like I've helped multiple people get their brand legitimately off the ground.
Yeah. But what does that give you? Does that give you like a sense of like, let's try a word I'm looking for. So when I help people, I'm like, oh yeah, I feel really good, and it's
Fulfillment?
yeah, but that's what I'm looking
I love it. I love helping people. But I also walk a very dangerous line sometimes of getting too invested into people.
Yeah.
So like if someone wants to do something, I almost get too invested into them.
In what they're doing, and then you forget about what you're doing.
Sort of, yeah. I like get too invested in wanting to see them win because I'm such like winning is contagious, and I want everybody to win. Like I want all my friends to win, my family to win, everyone. But you know the saying, you can lead a horse to water, you can't force it to drink. You can send a boy to college, you can't force him to think.
Yeah.
It's a similar situation to that. So people message me and want me to help, and I will help to the extent. I've helped someone to the extent of their whole brand is up, and I gave them everything that they needed. Where to get hang tags, stickers, how to send the postage. They came in here, sat down with me. I've done that with a few people.
Yeah.
We've had meetings on getting their clothing brand up. The same suppliers I use, everything.
Yeah.
But the problem is I get too invested in them. And when people don't appreciate the time and the stuff that I send them, it's disheartening because it's like, fuck you. I literally gave you so much time and you don't even have the respect to like implement that stuff, or you just give up so easy.
Yeah. And I've had that happen. It is disheartening because you're like, man, I could have been utilizing this time
100%.
elsewhere. It's like this. I'm not just doing this because I've got a lot of time up my sleeve. It's like I'm trying to help you. Like, and
I value my time so much. That's my number one value. That's why I sleep the minimal amount that I can operate 100% off, and that's why I do so much. Like I don't get up in the morning and lay in bed for an extra 10 minutes because I don't have time to do that. I value my time.
Yeah.
10 minutes spent on TikTok in the morning in the bed is not valuable time for me. I've got to get up. I've got shit to do. I've got things I want to do. I've got dreams I want to build.
Let's talk about some of your other dreams. So is there anything more you'd like to add to your clothing label? Like, I guess we should, like is a bad word, by the way. We should not. I can't. Sometimes you don't even notice yourself saying it.
Yeah, you say it a lot. I know what you mean.
Like, God damn it.
Well, doesn't matter. It happens.
It'll happen. We'll get rid of it. Like the M word. But is there anything that you would want to talk about with your clothing label that you are super interested in, that something so new that you're like, yes, I want to put this out there to the world?
Yeah, I guess I just love the community I've built around it. I think a lot of people start clothing brands. It's a very common thing. But I think the major fact and component in clothing brands is people don't understand what selling is. And if a business isn't making money, it's just a hobby.
That is true.
So a lot of people, I think a very important thing to touch on, which I'll touch on after actually, I'll finish with the brand. I think, what I've created is extremely unique. I think like the results that it's had and the community that it's being built around it is absolutely incredible. The brand, I believe, has surpassed like over 1.8 million views now, or something pretty insane like that.
That is crazy.
Yeah, so like on just like over all social media platforms, and it only has 2,500 followers on Instagram.
Oh yeah, people do, like, if you don't know, like what he just said is that he's had this amazing achievement, and then we were looking at his Instagram. He's like, oh, and there's only like 2,000 people, and I'm like, that is. The numbers don't match.
They don't match. And I showed you the numbers, which I don't show anybody, by the way, and I won't mention them because I don't.
That's fine. We don't need to talk numbers, but
yeah, it's funny because a lot of people look at the brand, and like I even have family that do it.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, yeah, you must be doing all right. I was just telling Jaron a story. By the way, if you keep hearing me say Jaron, just for all the video viewers, I had a friend that works in the same office as me. His name's Jaron, and he's probably the only person I actually talk to on a daily basis apart from my girlfriend. So
Except he's non-interested in what we're talking.
he's got his headphones on. He doesn't even know what's going on.
He's probably playing WoW.
Yeah,
Maybe.
yeah.
Who knows?
No, he's editing. He's hustling.
No, he's hustling.
But yeah, so what was he saying? ADHD.
Oh yeah, we were talking
numbers.
about
Yeah, the numbers just don't add up, and it's really funny because I got family and friends that are like, "Oh yeah, it must be doing like you must get like 1 or 2 sales like a day or a week, hey?" And I'm like, "Yeah, something like that." Like,
I guess
you know, like on a good week, maybe a few sales. Like, because I don't like telling people. I just keep it really down low because I think people perceive you differently.
Yeah.
In life, and the people that are in my life and the people that I got around me, I want them to be around me for the right reasons.
It definitely come back to the mic. It definitely makes sense though. I've found that if you flash success in people's faces, there's 2 things that will happen. There's either the person that would be like, that's really, really amazing, and that it's like, oh, I actually I see what you're doing and I want to do something similar in a different field or whatever.
Yeah.
And then there's the other people that try to ride the success and then they try to befriend you and become closer. And this sounds really negative.
There's 3
and dark.
types, and then there's the one that shit on you.
Yeah. And then there's the other one that are like so negative, like, oh yeah, whatever. It's like, I know that humans have, this is where I've got to in life. It's like, I don't judge anyone anymore for being like that. It just makes me sad to what has happened in your life to get like that.
What you were saying there, like your projections are reflections.
Yeah.
So like what you're projecting onto people is really just a reflection of what's going on inside of here.
Yeah.
And that's the own inner work that you've got to do. If I post about me doing X amount of sales in a day and that upsets you, that's not my problem. That's your problem.
Yeah.
Although I don't post it, that's my personal choice. Because like I said, I'm weary of the second lot of people, the ones that are like, oh, you're doing all right. Do you want to go get dinner?
Yeah.
Because
exactly.
I don't have a lot of friends and I've never been too likable of a person. And that comes back down to the shark mentality, is where I'm just too honest with people and I sort of tell them how it is. And I'm very driven and hardworking and I just hate excuses.
Yeah, excuses don't get you anywhere.
That's
reference,
right.
everyone.
Yeah, so people do find it hard to be around me because I'm just so like driven. Like if there's a problem and you're creating the problem, I will tell you that you're creating the problem and I'll just say, what are you doing? This is literally how you do this. Yeah. It's like I use an analogy of like shitting in your hand and smacking yourself in the face and then going, oh, I've got shit all over my face.
Yeah.
That's like, I use that analogy all the time, right? So many people, like, they do certain things and certain actions over and over again. They repeat these, right? And I tell them, I'm like, this is like shitting in your hand, smacking yourself on the face, and then going, oh, I can smell shit.
Yeah, it's like you know it's wrong, so don't.
Like, yeah, like just stop. You're literally shitting in your own hand and doing it to yourself. Stop doing it.
Yeah.
It's so easy. But then they keep doing it and they want sympathy and they keep complaining.
Yeah, that is... People are probably like, these judgy bastards coming around here.
Yeah.
But it's not. I don't think it's. We're not. It's not. It's not a judge thing. It's like.
It's honesty.
It's just honesty, and I find, for me personally, I need straight honesty because otherwise, if this is me personally, everyone, not. I don't know. You could be the same, but I find if someone gives you an excuse or someone gives you sympathy on something that doesn't require sympathy, you then grab onto the sympathy and forget what you're actually getting told. If this makes sense, it's like, oh, it's okay. You didn't get that episode out today and you didn't really try, but that's all right. It's like no.
We can do it again next week.
It's like it's not all right because it's not breeding good, healthy habits. It's allowing you to go, okay, well, the next time is going to be the same. It's okay. It's like, no, don't do this to yourself because you are not going to benefit yourself.
100%. I couldn't agree more. And at the end of the day, it's like when you tell yourself you're going to go do something, like Tom Bilyeu says this all the time. He goes, so many people are like, oh yeah, I'm going to start gym here. I'm going to do gym there. Or I'm not going to eat fast food anymore. If you tell yourself that and then you don't follow through and do that and then you do go get fast food, how can you trust yourself? You start to not trust yourself. And when you can't even trust yourself, that is a dangerous place to be in my eyes.
I will say on a brighter note, though, it is okay to fail and relapse, so to speak. So I
don't believe in failing.
Yeah.
Do you want me to know? Do you want to tell you why? So to cut you off.
Yeah.
I love this
We're
shit.
here now,
This is
let's
like,
go.
I love this
We're
conversation.
tapping in.
We're tapping all the
let's
way in. So I don't believe in failing. I think when you fail, so let's look at it as an L. You know how everyone goes, oh, you took an L.
Yeah.
Right, so if I do something, so if I tell myself I'm not going to eat fast food and then I eat fast food, you only fail when you close off to why you failed and don't learn from it.
Yeah.
So taking an L is taking a lesson, not a loss. But it will be a loss if you're not honest and hold yourself accountable to it. So I haven't had fast food in like 6 months or something. Oh, no, not 6 months. Like, it's probably been a couple years since I actually stopped religiously eating Maccas.
Yep.
For a good example, I sort of started just buying the McMuffins probably 6 months ago. And then I stopped again. And late one night, probably 2 to 3 months ago, after Mastermind, actually, it was 3 a.m. I went through and got a McMuffin.
Yep.
Right? And the next morning I woke up and I'm like, nah. I was like, I failed. And I was like, no, you didn't fail. You just lost.
Yeah.
And then I learned a lesson. And it's just so the lesson is I had to get that because I was so hungry. So my lesson was be more organized and take food there. So now I take food every Tuesday.
Yes.
So that wasn't a loss. It was a lesson because now I haven't had to do it again.
Yeah, that's what I was getting to. I was like, it's okay to do something. It's like everything takes time. It's like going to the gym. You want to build muscle, you have to do it repetitively over and over and over again for your brain and your body to adapt to it. Yeah. If you go, hey, I want to do this, that, whatever, and you go, oh, like lollies, for example, I really, really love lollies and I'll eat packets and packets, but I've had to stop myself. Like now to the point where I walk down, I just avoid the lolly aisle in general. I'm not saying I don't eat lollies, I do eat them, but the example I'm trying to say is that if that is something you're so passionate about and then you do make a mistake and you're like, oh, okay, well, I ate that. Don't just smash yourself and put yourself down because that's not going to, you just understand what you did and go, okay, well, next time I'm going to make sure I don't do that. And then that's how you build the healthy habits.
It's a very fine line of not negative talking yourself. And it also depends how you're motivated. Yeah. So there's two types of people with I hate the motivated word, but
we're not allowed to say it.
No, I can't. I don't think I could do 10 push-ups. But in this sense that you do have to use the motivated word. So you've got two types of people. You got positively and negatively motivated people. Yeah. So when I go somewhere and if I'm talking to someone about an idea and they're like a dream stealer and they're like, oh, that's not going to work. You can't do that, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. I'm negatively motivated. So in my head, I'm going, oh, yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe it won't work. Maybe I will be a failure. Maybe I will just be building someone else's dream my whole life. I might try it and let you know how I go anyway. And I leave and I'm laughing. And I'm like, you got no fucking idea what I'm capable of. Yeah. And then you've got your positively motivated people, right? Where it's like, yeah, you can do that. Good job. Yeah, go, Bob. We believe in you. And he's like, oh my gosh, I can do it.
Yeah, I get.
Yeah, see what I mean? So you got your negatively and your positively motivated. So I'm negatively motivated, right? So when I fuck up, and I wouldn't recommend this unless you are negatively motivated and you've got the mental strength to be able to do this to yourself. I'm like, you fucking idiot. What are you doing? How bad do you want this life that you desire? Do you sort of want it or are you getting it?
Yeah, it's yeah. So
that's what I do, right? In my head, I'm like, do you sort of want it? Is the idea nice, Dan, but the work scares you or the discipline scares you? Oh, I really don't want to just not have fun because of the discipline. Yeah. That's me. So in my head, I'm calling myself a little bitch. I'm like, you're better than that. What? Don't you want this life? And then I'm like, no, fucking watch me. I'll do this.
Yeah. I'm the same. I'm negative.
That's why I don't drink or smoke, right? Because I never have. And everyone was always negatively motivating me with it. Yeah. So now, because I'm negatively motivated, because most people that are positively motivated would have tried it. I think 99% of people have tried it either way.
Most people have tried.
But positively motivated people will easily do it because they're like, oh, come on, man, it's okay. It's all good to have one.
Yeah, it's that little bad voice going, it's all right.
Yeah. Whereas I'm negatively motivated. So people, when they say that, they're like, dude, it's fine. It's just one path. I'm like, fuck you, I'll be different.
This is going to be self-sabotage but I don't have social media. So
this is self-sabotage. I don't know how you're going to promote your podcast.
I will. Well, I'm going to create an actual page, business page.
Yeah.
But I don't have social media for my personal stuff because I just don't find it it's necessary anymore. And I've spoken to people and they're like, oh, but like, what do you mean? Like, how am I supposed to contact you? I'm like, the normal way. You can get my number or
a text message.
Or like if you go to speak to a girl and they're like, you don't have social media, that's kind of weird. I'm like, isn't it more weird that you are expecting me to have social media?
Expectations again.
Yeah. It's like you should never, it's like, well, it could be multiple reasons why someone doesn't have social media. But for me personally, it's like, I just don't, it's a time waster. And I find myself getting caught just in a loop. And then I feel, how I feel now for not having it for a month, I feel so great. Like my mind is clear. I'm not constantly trying to check my phone. I'm engaged in people. I look at them in the eye all the time. And I watch people now and they literally will pick their phone up, cut the whole conversation off. And you're like, hey, wait a second, I'm still here. Like, don't
like, where's the human interaction?
Yeah,
mine was buzzing, so I had to put it here, so I had to turn it on silent.
You're a businessman.
Okay,
that's
yeah.
I'm just talking about in social settings where you're like, oh.
I know what you're talking about. And I walk the fine line of like having to be a creator and a consumer. And sometimes I do fall into consuming it. Like even last night I did it because I'm honest with myself. I opened up TikTok to check something business related, like legitimately business related. Yeah. And then 25 minutes later, I was like, what the fuck? What? I haven't done it.
Literally.
And so you fall into that consumer thing. But I would like to say I do a pretty good job of walking the line of being a consumer versus creator.
All right, let's spin it back because we've just gone on the tangent.
Yeah, another tangent.
So let's talk about the name. Where did the name come from? And how, like, because it could be taken as adventure, but you've just cut the A out and gone to venture.
Yeah, and we cut the D out too.
And I can't spell. So there you go. Let's go.
Yeah, so venture, the definition of venture is a new business venture and like an enterprise or starting something like that. So I really liked it because it's like double correlated. Like it was my new venture.
What's it called?
Acronym?
No. It's like a double. No,
double whammy?
Me and my roommate were talking about this the other day. It's a
two birds, one stone.
Similar, like same thing, but there's an actual word for it, like a proper word. I can't.
Synonym? No.
Synonym is like
cinnamon is what's on your donut. Say.
Yeah, but cinnamon. Yes. Oh, I'm gonna get this like after the podcast, and I'm gonna just send you a message like that's what I meant.
Now I really want to know what you're talking about. Anyway, we'll move on.
Let's move on.
Yeah. So it was basically like the two words correlated together, and I just really like the idea of it, and like venture is like getting out there and venturing is what I say.
And so for anyone that hasn't seen the brand or the clothing, what type of clothing is it? Is it just plain Jane type of clothing? Is it like really out there, colourful stuff?
No, so it's pretty plain Jane. So it's very like simplistic. So I keep it simplistic because I enjoy wearing simplistic clothes.
Yep.
Minus button-ups. I will wear button-ups with flamingo shirts and watermelons on it. I love that shit. But anyway.
Everyone should try that.
Yeah, 100%, man. Have you ever walked around in a flamingo button-up?
I got flamingo socks.
You get so many compliments, right?
I got bright yellow. Well, I got a pink hat.
You got a pink hat, yeah, you win.
I'm pretty colourful.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's all pretty simple designs, but it's the message that you feel when you're wearing it. And it's the energy that you feel when you're wearing it.
Yeah. So what is that energy and what's the message?
It's different for everybody, but you can do anything that you put your mind to is what I'm trying to do with the brand. I am trying to prove to young kids out there and just people of all ages that if coming from the life that I came from, if you want to achieve something, you can legitimately do anything that you want to put your mind to. You just have to be committed and work hard and work smart. And be passionate about what you're doing.
Well, let's talk about a little bit more about yourself because I think this is something that I'd like
segue.
Just to touch on.
Yep.
So for people that don't know, you are a mentor at the Mastermind.
Yeah. So I guess they called leaders.
Yeah, leaders.
Yeah. So I'm
okay.
Leader at the Mastermind.
Yeah. And this is done for free, is that right?
Yes.
So do you find... where am I going with this? No, I lost my train of thought. Like because it is free and it like obviously you're taking time into your day to go do this. What is the is it like a sense of achievement by helping other people, like what we spoke about before? Like is that an allocated time for you? Because you know how we're talking about on your Instagram, you like literally put in so much time and effort. Do you find this is more structured because it's like allocated time rather than like giving all this time? Like you can go, all right, I can feel good about this? Like doing
Everything
this for
I
free?
do is allocated, so it's scheduled. So like I'll wake up and I write a to-do list down for that day, and I write rough times at what I'm gonna do throughout that day. So everything is like pretty set in stone. So if it doesn't get scheduled, it doesn't get done.
Yeah.
So that's how I look at it. But yeah, in terms of answering your question with the mastermind, I think it's a good way to meet new people. I think it's an excellent way to grow my leadership skills.
Yep.
While helping other people, which is such a thing I'm passionate about. I love helping people, and I love talking to people about their dreams and where they want to go and how they're going to achieve what they're going to achieve.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just love breaking goals down for people and being like, this is how possible it is in line with the brand. Like, just let's fucking do it. Let's go.
Yeah. So, and it's like that. Like
yeah.
that oomph. You're like, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. That question started going sideways. Not sure where that was
No,
going.
no,
But
you're cool.
this is what I was trying to relate back to. It's like that energy. So when you leave, are you like, oh, yes, like now I want to go smash out.
So I leave at about 3 a.m. every morning.
Oh, you're the one that they talk about that leaves at like 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
I just remember them talking about it. They never mentioned a name. They're like, oh, and this person stays there. And I'm like,
Yeah,
who's
so
this
I
smashing?
stay there till 3 a.m. Most times with Jaren.
Yeah.
Learning off one of the other gentlemen in there that's very knowledgeable, and he gives me a lot of his time after the events. So I grow a lot of my leadership skills, and I get a lot of value from him.
Yeah.
To like empower my life and help me with where I'm going.
And what is the other? So you got mastermind, venture, and what is there anything else that's like just as equally big that you're working on, or are these other?
So I got the podcast, and then I got another project I'm working on, which I haven't really told anyone about. It's about 95% complete.
Keep that under wraps.
It's
For now.
it's just a cash flow business.
Yeah.
It's just designed to. I showed you the Instagram account.
Oh yeah.
I showed you more in one night than I've shown people in like 3 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just a cash flow business. It's in the event industry.
Yeah.
It's just a really easy business to be able to It's just a really easy business to be able to sort of generate cash flow in, as I said before.
Yeah.
And the reason I've created that is because I want to be able to buy my time back.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to do whatever I want to do with my time. Like whenever I want to go here, I want to be able to go there.
Yeah.
So that's the main purpose of that. And
that
that gives me the most time to be able to focus on all the things that I love doing in here.
Yeah. That's. I was about to say. So with your next step or like your vision of your own life, that's what you're trying to achieve. You're trying to just get multiple streams of income,
Yep.
so you can then focus on the creative side.
I want to be wealthy.
Yeah.
I want to be wealthy as fuck because I want to be able to create opportunities for people, and I want to be able to give to people. So like I've had experiences giving like money and like donations and stuff to homeless shelters in the past. Like the first week that I launched Venture, it did like low 4 figures in sales, so like a few thousand.
Yep.
And I was blown away. So I went down and spent like $600 on like thongs and shirts and jumpers for the homeless, right? Because I love that feeling of giving back to people. I never posted about that.
I find that is the best because if you post about it, this is not a stab at anyone that does post about these type of things, but me, I'm like you. Like if I've like run charity events, like in the music industry down in Sydney and stuff, and I just never posted about it apart from obviously like the poster. But I've also just given money to people and just tried my best to help people out. But I find it's more fulfilling if you don't post about it because then you're taking away from
100%. I think, you're definitely doing it for yourself when you are, like for the other person and yourself when you're doing it without posting it. But in saying that, I'd love to post some of the stuff that I've done because I think there's been times where I've been sitting at home and I've seen someone post about doing something good, and the next day I'm like, oh, like I'm going to go do something good then. And it's not that I wasn't thinking about it, it just wasn't at the front of my mind. Not that doing good is not at the front of your mind, but you don't wake up every day and just think about giving
because
to the homeless.
People's lives are busy. They're not.
So busy,
everyone's
man.
no one's
my
waking
life
up going,
is
all
flat
right.
out. I don't think about that shit all the time, but when I do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that, like, in the sense, like, don't post it, but if you want to post it and you believe it can inspire some people, post it.
I guess that is a good way to look at it. I think
because I've been inspired by people that have posted it, and I've gone, I'm going to go do that then.
Yeah, I took a wrong turn there. I was like, don't post it on social media. I agree with you.
But
like,
it comes down to personal preference. So you wouldn't post it on social media.
No, because that's just for me, because I'm not anti social media, but I find the human experience is more
I agree
valuable
with you.
for me. I don't want to,
Like if I went and gave someone $50 tomorrow to help them with food, I
Yeah.
wouldn't be like, hey guys, Dan here, just giving this lady $50 because she's struggling with food this week.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like you get to know. I've met people that do like hand money out, and instead of like, they don't post it, but they genuinely sit down with these people and end up having like really great friendships with these people. Like especially in Sydney, where like the homelessness is quite large. Like you end up making friends, and you don't know what that person knows. Like you don't know about the information that they know. So it's not really necessarily just walking past, dropping money. Like
you can learn something off anybody, bro.
And don't be scared of these. Well, this is going off tangent, but don't be scared of these people that are sitting there struggling, and like they're not going to do anything crazy to you. They're not like these crazy people.
They're
like,
humans.
They're just
bro.
humans. Like just be.
And even if they're fighting drug addiction and whatever, and they may look a little funny, or they're doing funny things, man. Like, I mean, be careful. Like if someone's on an ice trip, maybe don't go up and talk to them.
Yeah,
but
well, use your wits.
yeah, like just use your brain about it. But like, man, there's people there that may look pretty skinny and like, you know, like not being stereotypical, but you know, like what ice addicts look like.
Yeah,
I've talked to even some ice addicts, and you can tell that they are, and they're struggling. But when they're not on a high, bro, you talk to them, you realize they're like, fuck, they're just normal people, man, that don't have a sense of direction or a purpose.
Exactly. They've lived their life, and that's how they've ended up. But they could be the most driven person you've ever met. You just don't know, because you
or used to be, and then something happened and it just flopped them on their ass and they had nowhere to go.
I'm definitely all about the human experience and giving back, and just being genuine. Like try not to judge, and try not to like, just try to be human, try to be nice. Like everyone makes mistakes, and everyone just cruises along, and like that's just the way it is. But I'm glad that we're talking about this, because I feel like it's an important
passionate
message.
about
it's an important message to like get out to people. Like just help. Like don't look at them and go, oh, what the this, and like look at them and they're just. It's like no, just go, oh man, like it's pretty sad that guy's like that. I wonder if I could do something nice to like just help them out.
Just to cheer his day along. Like I don't give homeless people money often. I'll offer them food.
Yeah.
So like there's a fella that's always walking around here, always in Nambour.
Yeah.
Like if I bought him food every time he asked, I'd go broke.
Yeah.
But like occasionally I have gone over and I'm like, oh no, yeah. There's two gentlemen. There's one that I don't see often.
Yep.
I'm like, I was like, I was already going to get Macca's like a few months ago.
Yeah.
And he was like, he's like, oh, do you have any money? I was like, no, I don't have money. I said, but you're welcome to come to McDonald's and I'll buy something for you if you want something.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, really? That'd be incredible. And then there's one dude that walks around here and he always asks for money. I'm like, no, I was like, I don't have any money, man, but I'm happy to walk over to Macca's and buy you some food. Oh, no, it's all good.
Yeah.
So you got like, you're two types of people. So you know what old mate's going to be using his money for, and an old mate's stoked that he's getting a cheeseburger meal or something. Yeah,
I think, but like the other thing is like just relaying back to what we talked about at the start, where he might use that for like, this is getting wild, but he might use that for drugs or something. But then in his mind, he's like, actually, this is going to be the last time. I'm going to change. I'm going to start doing this. And this is what it's getting back to. Like, you just have to be understanding that nothing happens overnight. Like, this podcast doesn't happen overnight. Nothing.
No,
like,
this took me a long time to build.
Yeah, like even this space is unreal. And your clothing brand didn't happen overnight. No. Nothing happens overnight. But what does happen, and what is always going to be true, is that the feeling that you have for achieving those goals and those dreams or whatever they may be will always be there. Like that will never fade. Like that energy is always going to stay there, and you're always going to feel great and amazing.
Yeah.
And you can always find it. Like you can always find that sense of
that drive to be something more and better.
Yeah.
Always is there.
I feel like that's a really good note.
It doesn't, that never leaves.
No.
Not for me anyway. And
that's the whole purpose of this podcast on the air, on the potty air, is that like it is like I just want people to feel how I feel every time I speak to people like yourself, or just just human beings anywhere in life. Like I just feel every time I'm with someone who's positive and driven and just wants to do the best they can, like the best that they can, whether it's for their family, their friends, or whoever. It's just that you just feel, you're like, yes, now I want to go out and be like that. And it's all about being a better person, I feel.
Yeah, 100%, man. That's my motivating factor, is like my mother.
Yeah.
She's like my number one motivating factor. I'm like, I'm going to fucking do this for you.
Yeah.
Watch me.
Yeah, what is your mum like? Does she, when you were growing up, was she like, yeah, like do this, and you're like, yeah, and then you're like, when I grow up, I'm gonna buy my mum a house.
Yeah, so this is actually quite funny that we've just passed an hour and 5 minutes and we're just getting into this.
I know, we haven't even, literally, I wonder if people probably think we're talking smack. They're like, these guys.
This is a,
But it's an open forum podcast.
Yeah, this is a crazy one, the mum story. So I'll try and sum it up.
Yeah.
Because it's quite a long story. So when I was 5 years old, so let me start. I grew up in a very hard-working family. My dad was very, very hard-working. When I was 5 years old, I got picked up from school early, taken home, sat down on the couch, and Mum and Dad sat there. I don't remember this, I've just been told. Mum and Dad sat there and said, "Hey, Danny, we have something to tell you, and it may be a little bit scary, but we just thought that it would be best for you to know what's going on."
Yeah.
I was like, no clue, right? Like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, at that age, it's like,
like 5 years old, you don't understand anything, right?
No.
Anyway, so basically they told me that Mum started getting double vision. So she went to the optometrist because she thought she needed glasses.
Yeah.
They sent her to Brisbane for a scan of her brain, and she came back with a brain tumour.
Yeah.
When they did some more digging into the brain tumour, they got her back there for some more scans. They realised that I think at the time it was the second or first biggest brain tumour in the world or Australia. I know they're two very different things, but it was one of the two. I can't remember.
Still, it's massive. It's a brain
It was
tumour.
huge. It was insane. So she had I can't remember the exact terminology of what the brain tumour was, but I used to be able to remember. I don't now. Haven't said in a long time. But she had a brain tumour basically on her brainstem.
Yep.
So when it probably took about, I think she was pretty much rushed to hospital, to be honest.
Yeah,
I think. So we couldn't get a surgeon in Brisbane. We had to go to Sydney.
Yep.
This podcast is probably going to get a bit dark, by the way.
No, that's fine. Like I said, it's open forum. This is the whole point.
So we couldn't get. So she had to fly to Sydney to get the operation done because at the time we didn't have anyone in Queensland that was qualified enough to do this particular operation.
Yep.
Long story short, on the operating table, she had a stroke.
Yep.
And they nicked her brainstem, which is a very high risk. I think there was a 97% chance risk of something going terribly wrong.
Nicking it type thing.
Or even death, I think.
Yeah, okay.
It was the odds were really stacked against her. It was 95-5 at least.
Yeah.
So throughout this time, I was still going in school. Nana and Pop were looking after me.
Mm-hmm.
And she had the stroke on the table. I went to go visit her when I was I got flown over there. I might have been 6 at this stage or something. I can't remember the timeline. I don't remember anything from my childhood. Yep. And I do remember being put on a plane by myself, and I was meeting my Nana and Pop over in Sydney.
Yep.
No, meeting my dad at Sydney. Sorry, Nana and Pop dropped me at the
and then you got the
plane station, I call it.
You got the
airport plane station.
At the plane station, brother.
Yeah, so they sent me over there. I went and seen Mum with my brother, and I remember walking in and seeing her, and she had a shaved head.
That's pretty full on, especially at that age. You're like, what? You just had long hair. What is going on?
Didn't understand, I was like, what's going on? Cuts and scars and lines drawn all over her head. She had 240 stitches on her skull. So I was and I'm pretty sure one of the first memories I have is us walking in there and her ringing the buzzers because she didn't know who we were. It's pretty deep. So she didn't know who we were. So she's ringing the emergency buzzers because she's like, who the fuck are these people coming into my room, right?
Yeah.
Fast forward, maybe, I want to say 6 months.
Yep.
Maybe even a bit longer. She spent a lot of time in hospital recovering.
Yep.
She obviously got a memory back. She remembered who we were.
Yep.
She came back home and we looked after her. So she was in full-time care. So the whole left side of her body was paralyzed. She couldn't speak properly.
Yeah.
She was told she was going to be a vegetable.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you know what a vegetable is. It's not a carrot and stuff. Vegetable humans are people that can't
they can't
move,
speak. They can't
do anything.
Their brain's active, but their body doesn't.
So she was told she was going to be a complete veggie, just completely useless, pretty much.
Is that a mean term? I don't know. Is that
vegetable?
If you call someone a vegetable, is that the?
Maybe I don't know.
I don't know. If anyone's offended by that,
I do apologize. I'm
not
so sorry.
But I don't. I don't actually don't. I don't know.
I don't know if it is offensive. I don't think it's offensive. That's what I've been saying my
Because
whole life.
it wouldn't be brain dead because then they'd just not be alive.
No, well, I'd probably be more offended by brain dead than vegetable because
I don't-
vegetables are
yeah,
nice.
Like I just was sitting there. I was like,
No.
"Oh,
Well, I
nice."
hope that's not offensive, but
I
if
hope
it
not.
is,
Anyway.
I apologise.
Sorry.
But yeah, so she came home. We were like 7 years old. So like, and my brother would have been like 10 at the time. So we're like 7 and 10 years old. Like dad's going to work, and me and my brother are literally like got trained to like take mum to the toilet. It's like in a hoist and shit. So like I was 7 years old, 8, 9, 10 years old. Like
Yeah.
taking my mother out of a wheelchair in a hoist, dropping her in a toilet chair, taking her to the toilet, like pretty fucked up shit when you really think about it. So
I guess like this is not sidetrack, but like a positive is like it starts training your brain to like build foundations. I guess if this makes sense.
I wouldn't
like,
change anything about my life.
Yeah, like it puts
As
you.
bad
It
as it
puts you in
sounds.
like a like you become more understanding and more like self-aware of like, okay, well, this is what this is, and is this? Am I going like?
No,
am I saying a bit
100%.
crazy, or is this
No,
right?
no, you're so right. So I'll actually fast forward a little bit because I won't tell the whole story.
Yeah.
But I'll fast forward a little bit actually. I remember being like, I don't know. To be honest, like I'm gonna butcher the whole timeline because I
That's
just
right.
don't
The
have-
age and timeline doesn't.
Yeah,
really
yeah,
matter. You
right. So
hit
like
the
just say
stories.
I was like a little bit after that I actually went to my friends for my first sleepover, right?
Yep.
So I went to this sleepover and I remember this like crazy. His name was Byron. We went over there and we got there. The first thing I think I rode there on my scooter, very independent from a young age, right?
Yeah.
At 7 years old or like whatever, like I was riding the shops by myself at 7 p.m. at night to go get bread and milk.
Yep.
Because I had to be, because dad had to be home with mum or like whatever it was, right?
Yep.
I was like learning to cook dinner. I was vacuuming the house. My brother was doing all the same, like
This is
mowing lawns.
insane.
Like we're just doing this shit because dad was working like 6 days a week to put food on the table and pay for all of this care because the funding back then still is shit.
Yeah.
Right?
It wouldn't, especially for something like
It wouldn't
that.
cover like the 5 days a week care that mum needed by other people, right?
Yeah.
Because we had to get carers in there to look after her while we were at school. That's a whole different story. I remember going to my friend's house for the first time as a sleepover, and we went there. And the first thing I did when I got there, I was like, he's like, walked to his bedroom because it was about 5:30. At 5:30 every night, like we would have chores to do, like
Yep.
whether it be take rubbish out. And he walked to his room to like play PlayStation. I was like, oh, Byron, like, what are you doing? So don't we have to go do some chores? He's like, what chores? I was like, I don't know, like, don't you set the table and stuff? He's like, no, mum does that. And I was like, do I have to take the rubbish out? He's like, no, mum does that. I was like, what the fuck? And it was on a school night, right?
What is this? What is this place?
Yeah, it was a Sunday night, so it was a school night. Anyway, so it was really weird. We went out there and had dinner, and then after I was like, I got up and like grabbed the plates and stuff, and I like went to wash them up.
Yeah.
And they were all like, what are you doing? I was like, I was washing up. It's like, I'm washing up. They're like, you don't have to do that. I was like, I was thrown, bro. I was like, why am I not, like, what is going on?
It'd be the most.
It was so weird,
It'd be
bro.
the most bizarre experience.
It was so bizarre, bro. They were
Especially
doing
because, like,
everything.
you're in their house as well, and you're like,
So-
wait a second.
So anyway, I went to bed. Before we went to bed, I was like, oh, do we make lunches now? Because me and my brother had to make our own lunches,
Yeah.
right? It's like, oh, do we make lunches now? And they're like, oh, no, we do that in the morning. And I'm like, oh, thank fuck, a normal thing. We make our own lunches. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I woke up in the morning and Byron just goes and sits down on the table and I'm like, oh, where's the pantry? He's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, trying to get like food.
Make sandwiches.
Yeah,
Vegemite sandwiches.
No, I was making just like breakfast, like cereal.
Oh,
He's like, no, we just sit on the table. Mum brings it to us.
what?
Yeah, and I was like, man, this is weird. And then while we're eating breakfast, his mum made us like sandwiches to take to school. So I was so thrown off that. And I remember I didn't have a sleepover for quite a while after that because I was so thrown off. I was like, what is everyone doing? Like, why? You guys are so weird.
It's so funny because it's like any other child at that age would be like, this is so good. Like my
Yeah.
parents make me do silly chores like throw the rubbish out and blah, blah, blah. And you're like positive about it. You're like, no, you guys are weird. That's not me.
Because I didn't know any better, bro. I was like,
Yeah.
this is like fucking odd. Like you're like, it just didn't make any sense to me, bro. I didn't know any different, right? So
Yeah.
I'm like, why am I not doing anything? Anyway, so I remember I had to sleep over at another friend's house because I sort of just came to the consensus that it was just him.
Yeah.
And this was a weekend. I stayed on a Saturday, right? Now, Dad had very strict rules, and I wouldn't change anything about it, right? Like, you're mowing the lawn at this time, you're doing all this stuff before you go anywhere, right? So I made a deal with my dad because it was reasonable. I made a deal. I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to go to, I think it was Corey's house tonight.
Yep.
And then I'll come home at like 1:30 and then I'll do all of my chores.
Yep.
Right? Anyway, I woke up in the morning just expecting to be like, I took like just like shitty pants with me, just expecting to wake up and mow the lawn.
Yep.
And like go like
Do chores.
pick up the dog shit in the yard and like all those things that you would do, right?
Yeah.
And we just didn't do them. Woke up in the morning, I'm like, oh, what are we doing? He's like, oh, we're going to go like ride bikes on the BMX track because they had like forestry.
Yeah, yeah.
Like sorta.
Yeah.
He's like, man, we might go for a swim in the pool or go drive the RC car. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, we're not like doing any work or anything like this. I just didn't understand.
This must be the most, I'm just picturing
It was-
like in my head.
it was
like
bizarre,
you standing
bro.
there going, I don't know.
It was bizarre. So anyway, like fast forwarding from that, eventually I like worked out. I was like, maybe everything that happened with my mum's just sort of given me a little bit of a different life.
It's a lesson.
It was a lesson. I didn't understand it at that stage, and I'm probably glad I didn't understand because you got to remember, I didn't know my life before mum got sick. I didn't remember any of it. I don't remember mum driving me around. I don't remember mum making me lunch. I don't remember her like doing things for me.
Yeah,
If that makes
no,
any-
it does make sense. It's like,
So that's all I knew, right? Was
Yeah.
just what mum was doing in that stage.
yep.
She had quite a few health problems and everything like that. Oh, and also just mentioned 2 days after she came back from hospital from the brain tumor, Pop passed away.
Is that her dad?
No, my
your
dad's
dad.
my
But still,
dad's
obviously,
dad.
that's very traumatic.
Yeah, so it was pretty shitty. So I thought
Yeah.
Dad was joking when he woke me up and said that. That's probably the earliest memory I have, like apart from the hospital stuff. But
This is
yeah.
like-
Anyway, yeah,
this is mad. Like, I was like not mad as in like but it's like it's so.
you wouldn't know that this is what's happened.
You don't know this about people, and you don't
Mm.
understand. This is where people's drive comes from, or this is how they adapt to become the person that they are.
Yeah,
And this is what I love about the human experience. Is like you understand once you start to know more. You're like everything makes sense, and then you get this greater sense of. This is gonna sound weird, but like greater sense of connection to the person that you're talking to, or your friend or whoever, because then you understand how they work and how their brains like working, which probably will now make sense for the people listening or watching, is that this is why you are the way that you are.
and that's it. And people always like my girlfriend's very accepting of how hard I work, and I'll get to this in a second because I'll wrap this whole mum story up because it's like it's honestly probably a 2-hour story to be fair. If I was to sit down and tell you all of the nitty gritty, but I wouldn't want to cover a lot of it.
No, you
I
don't
would-
have
like,
to.
I wouldn't
this-
wanna
what you've
cover a
just
lot of
covered
it.
is, even for me, I'm like, man, this is
Yeah, so like I was like 8 years old, like 9 years old, like and I don't want to leave my brother out of any of this because we went through this together.
yeah,
And like props to my brother because at certain stages I almost feel like he was holding the family together
yeah,
because like you can imagine the amount of stress that it's putting on my old man and like my mom and like their relationship and just like everything, right? Like it was just like it wasn't a good time at all.
no,
And mum had a lot of like problems and stuff like that. And my brother would help me get ready for school. And because of everything that was going on in life, and I was so confused in life and with everything that was going on,
yeah,
I was like a really angry kid.
yeah, okay,
And like some mornings, like my brother would wake me up for school and I just hated going to school because I felt so different.
yeah,
I didn't like being around people because I felt like people didn't understand me and like what was going on, and like people just didn't understand me. It was just I
Yeah.
felt like I was wasting my time there. So I have to give like a massive props to my brother, and me and him are really close to this day.
Yep.
Of like, I think that he held the family together, and I owe so much to him because like I think I followed a lot of his footsteps in like his work ethic. Like he works like a regular, like a he's got like a mechanical, like a diesel fitting apprenticeship or like heavy machinery now, I think, or something, right?
yeah, yeah,
So he goes off and does his own thing, but he still had the work ethic. We were always instilled with the work ethic from my father,
Yeah.
right? Because we would always watch my father work.
yeah,
So being around him and seeing him, like I tell people that I was almost raised by my brother,
yeah, okay,
as weird as that sounds.
No,
So
I
like
get
he
it.
would like wake me up and get me ready for school, and he did a lot of chores as well. And when I was a bit younger, he did majority of them. Like I would just fuck off to the skate park.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I was still doing a lot.
Yeah.
But he was like home
He would
and
take more of the weight, so to
yeah,
speak.
I guess he took more of the weight because he was older and he understood
Yeah.
what was going on. I was so young. Like I said, I was so confused when I went to my friend's house and the mum was doing everything. I was
Yeah.
like, this is weird. Like I didn't understand. I think I struggled with it mentally probably a little bit more than him because I think I was so young I didn't really understand what was going on. I feel like he had a better understanding than me.
Yeah, definitely I find that if you understand, if you can self-evaluate really fast and then understand what's going on, this is just dumb talk because I'm not a neuroscientist, but
Yeah.
it's like because you understand, you can handle the emotions a lot easier, and then instead of like if you don't understand, all this subconscious trauma is building up and building up because you're not analyzing it and you're not letting it out and understanding what it is. So then subconsciously you then start like you lash out or you get angry or
That's
like,
what it was, man. I just didn't know. I was like, all I knew is that I had a life like nobody else I knew had.
Yeah.
And that I almost was just like fucking confused on like why it was like that. And like
It'd be so hard to relate as well because at such a young age, the
that
kid's
was my
living
biggest problem as a
normal life.
kid. I didn't relate to anybody.
Yeah.
I struggled to relate. Like I wasn't a popular kid in school.
Yeah.
I didn't care. I was doing my own thing, bro. And I would be quite happy to sit by myself at lunch break
Yeah.
and just do my own thing.
Yeah.
And this, bringing it back to some more positive shit, like, so I just wanted to give my brother a shout out then because I like love him dearly. And he's
shout out
just,
your family, man. This is an incredible
he,
story.
He was the backbone to the family, I'd say.
Yeah.
So me and him are still very close to this day. So that sort of is what sparked entrepreneurship, right? Like fast forward quite a lot. Like we're just working with mum. I always knew what hard work was. Didn't know anything else. Hard work was all there was to live off. So I remember going to school when like all the iPods and stuff were released.
Yeah, yeah.
And all my friends had iPods
like
and all this shit.
iPod classics, and it was like iPod shuffle.
All the nanos
and the nanos.
shuffles. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is so cool. Everyone's got iPods. I went home and I was like, oh, can I get an iPod? And Dad's like, no. I was like, because we always had a roof over our table. We always had socks and shoes on our feet, uniforms, but we weren't.
Yeah, you weren't like.
Dad won't admit it. Dad won't admit it, but he was scraping by.
Yeah.
You know, like I think he was just scraping by, just be able to pay the house off, and because they got the loan before, like they got the house before Mum got sick.
Yep.
I think he was just scraping by, working 6 days a week.
It is, and that's like hats off to your dad because not just hats off to anyone that puts in that amount of effort for their children, their partner, whoever it may be, like yourself, your brother, like that is.
I always thought Dad was an asshole.
So did I. I thought my stepdad was
To be
an
fair,
arsehole.
I still do, and he probably admits that he was because he raised us like that. But that has given us the results and the things that we've gone on to do in life are a result of how we were raised. And I'm going to raise my kids, not the exact same because he was pretty hard on us, but in a similar sense of like,
but like
get out there and do what you like, what you need to do.
As you get older as well, you understand why he was like that. And
100%.
So because he was the adult, he could see, like they obviously that not that parents know everything because I don't think they do, but in certain scenarios like that, he could obviously see that if he didn't be hard and disciplined, things wouldn't, like you guys wouldn't get the things done that you needed to do, and it would put more pressure on him. And he's already under enough pressure, so he was like kind of molding you into the person that you are today.
He was molding us into the people that he needed us to be to help the family and to help ourselves in our life and him.
And he probably knew that down the track, because I've had something similar happen, that in due time when you guys are older, you would be able to talk about it openly and go, oh, I understand now why you've done the things that you've done. And
I told him the other day, I said, you were an arsehole to us when I was a kid. And he looks at me and goes, yeah. He goes, oh, yeah, you're fucking glad I was. I'm like, yeah.
Love that. I love it.
That's a relationship we've got now.
When you say, like, I've had something similar. He's like, yeah, but guess what? Now look at you and you're having the best time. You're like, oh, God damn it. You're so right.
Yeah, he does that all the time. He looks at me and goes, yeah, well, at least you're not useless. Yeah. I'm like,
no remorse. No remorse.
No
Straight
remorse.
fire.
That's how
like,
it always was. We got no sympathy.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we didn't, because we weren't raised to be little bitches. And like, mind you, on the counter side, like if you're struggling with shit, you need to speak up. But it was an awkward situation. I think if you were to go back and ask what you can change, I think that's the worst thing you can do, rather than accept that, hey, I was raised the way I was. The things happened in my life happened for me, not to me.
Yes.
Let's adapt and overcome, and let's just fucking get on with it and do what we need to do. Because I had a lot of mental health issues when I was younger. And I think me and my brother still fight a lot of these things now. Like, I think one of the main reasons that I work...
We've got like about another...
I think one of the reasons that I work so hard is because it may be almost running away from this trauma. Like, from my childhood, and maybe that's still present to this day.
Yeah.
But, like, getting back to the iPod story...
Yep.
I like went home and I wanted this iPod. I used to get $5 a week for like toileting, showering, bins, like this was shared between my brother, lawns, picking up dog poo, sweeping the house, cooking dinner, like
it's like
every chore in the house, man. Me and my brother both got $5 a week each.
Slave labor. No.
Literally child labor. No, not even kidding. I'd go to school, my friend would have like a new pair of headphones or something, like $100 pair of headphones. I'm like, oh, what did you do for that? He's like, oh, I mowed the lawn, washed the car, and washed the dishes on the weekend.
Yeah.
I'm like, and you got $100? He's like, yeah. And they put $50 in my piggy bank. I'm like, bro,
$50.
I get $5.
Yeah.
What? Like, where are you coming from? What are you doing, right? But you know what? All of these people don't appreciate what they have. And I know a lot of these people still today. I've followed them and... You know, I know them from social media. No, I don't keep an eye on anyone, but like you come across them.
Right? As in like you've not kept an eye.
And I see it, like just growing up with people in my life, right? Most of the people who've been given shit do not appreciate and look after it. Like I got a MacBook down there. It's got 2 scratches on it, right? Furious. And I've had it for like 2 years now.
Yeah.
And I wipe and clean that thing religiously. Like, I love it. Same thing with my car. I've got a decently cheap car that looks good. I clean it and I polish it.
Yeah.
Everything I got, I look after to an absolute T.
Yeah.
Because I know what it was like to not really have anything as a kid.
It's a good
like even this
thing
set,
to remember.
Bro.
Like,
so see the scratch on that table over there?
Yeah.
You won't be able to see it.
I can
somewhere anyway.
It's in there.
I sold a hat press to some dude, did him a good favour to be nice, and when he picked his hat press up and left,
scratched the table.
He bloody dragged it across the table and put a scratch in the table. I wanted to cry. I remember sending Jaren a message. I was literally so upset. I was like,
I could imagine.
Because like before you came in, I wiped all this down. I keep everything so nice apart from the TV I dropped down the stairs, but we won't talk about that. That's an accident.
That's all right. We'll get back.
But yeah, so I wanted this iPod Touch and I was like, how am I going to get this? I need to work out a way to get this. My dad's not going to give me the money. He doesn't have the money to give me. I want to have what everyone else has got. So I one afternoon I went home like, hey Dad, do you mind if I use the mower to mow someone's lawn? He's like, no, go. Like, what are they paying you? I was like, yeah. He's like, yeah, all right, go for it. I was like, sweet. He's like, whose lawn are you doing? I was like, I don't know. So I went around the street. I'm like probably 10 years old or something. No, not even 10, I don't think.
Yeah.
I'm just knocking on everyone's doors. I'm like, hi. Hi, can I please mow your lawn? I was like, I think I was charging people $5, right? And most people were like, I'll give you $20 because it's like, I didn't understand money or how long it was going to take me.
I love that.
Right? So I think I ended up drumming up like $100 worth of business in this like neighborhood, right? So instead of getting the iPod Nano, I saved my money for a bit longer and I got an iPod Touch.
Yeah.
And I was like, this shit is sick. Like, I'm going to go to school and I got an iPod Touch and I earned this shit. No one else. This is better than what everyone's got, right?
But you're building the foundations. This is what we've been talking about. You're building the steps necessary.
100%.
Oh, this is so good.
I remember going and buying the iPod and Dad always rewarded being able to save money and hard work, right? So his deal was, if you buy the iPod, I'll buy you a case. I remember we got there and the cases were $45 and Dad...
Back then?
Yeah, Dad's head nearly fell off his shoulders.
$45 is a lot of money.
We're at Harvey Norman, I think.
Is this in the 90s?
No, man. 2012 or no, 2009.
Is that when they come out?
I don't know when they came out.
Like
I said, my timeline's off. I might have been 10 years old, 6 years old.
No, I'm pretty sure Apple was early 2000s, I want to say.
The iPod Touches, though. I don't know when they came out. Anyway.
Someone plugged me later on.
Yeah. Whenever they come out, I was like, I got one. I don't know how new they were at that time. I've lost, like I said, timeline out the window.
Yep.
Just, yeah. Anyway, so I bought a case for it and I dropped it like once and the case shattered into like 4 pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, Dad spent like $50 on it. And I was like, nah. So I was like, hey, Dad, can I use $10 of my pocket money? He's like, yeah, what for? I was like, a case. I broke the one. I got fucking ass whooped for breaking the case. But
tough lesson.
Yeah. And he was like, yeah, whatever, buy your own case. So I like went on eBay and I found these like little coloured silicone cases for the iPod Touch 4s or whatever they were. And ordered 10 of them for like $6. And I like got one. And I was like, oh, this is cool. I went to like school and then all my other friends started getting iPod Touches. And they were like, oh, that case is so cool. And I was like, they'd bring like every whack Wednesday or like they'd get tuck shop money or something.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure some of them were stealing money out of their parents' like wallets and stuff.
That's rough. It's not.
It's rough for them, not me. I was making money. So I started selling these cases for $10 each.
Yes.
Right? So I started just making money. I was like, oh shit. So I went on eBay and I found these like coloured iPod chargers.
Yeah.
And I ordered those as well. At this time, I went to the post office and I bought a Load and Go Visa card so that my dad didn't know what I was doing. And every afternoon after school, I'd ride to the post office and I'd give them the cash that I made from school that day.
Yeah.
I'd put it on the Visa card and then I'd get everything sent. And because my mum was in the wheelchair and stuff, she couldn't answer the door and the carers wouldn't answer the door. So I'd get home before anybody and the parcels would be sitting at the door. I'd just put them in my school bag and then walk into my room.
You're like proper hustle.
Yeah, so I was
You're
just like
a little
selling
gangster from the street.
So selling all these
hustling.
iPod chargers. It got to a point where I went and bought a brand new backpack at this stage. No, my dad didn't know about this yet. So I got a brand new backpack and the backpack like opened up like a suitcase.
Yep.
And I had the thing decked out like a shop.
That's so crazy.
So at this point, I stopped taking school books and pencil cases to school. I didn't take anything. I didn't even take lunch. I'd just buy lunch because I'd make money and just buy lunch.
Dad's thinking you're selling drugs. He's just like, what's going on here?
He had no idea, yeah. Well, see, that's the thing, though. We made our own lunch, so he didn't know.
This is crazy. This is so crazy.
Like, he had no idea, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so I started, like, making pretty good money. Like, I was probably making, like, sounds ridiculous, but, like, $100 a week. But I was, like...
Back then, that's a lot of money, though.
Yeah, I was, like, a little kid, man. I was, like, spending it on cheese and bacon pies and just buying more stock. Dad... The school ended up catching on to it because parents were getting angry and calling the school because people were stealing money out of their, like, kids were stealing money from their parents to pay for the stuff. So I got dobbed in. So they were like, oh, you can't do this anymore. Anyway, I showed Dad what I was doing. And he's like, and Dad was like, well, I don't see a problem. He's like, you're just making money. He's like, good on you. And then he was like, how did you even get to this point? Like, when did you get this stuff? And I, like, sort of told him what I was doing and stuff. Because... as a kid, I never liked inconveniencing people.
Yeah.
So it's not that Dad wouldn't have done it for me. I just didn't like inconveniencing him.
You're a shark.
Yeah, exactly right.
I
didn't like being like, oh, can you go put this money in your bank so I can spend it? I was like, I'll just work my own way around it. So I went and got the Load and Go Visas, which they still sell, by the way. But
it's crazy.
You know, and so I just started ordering all this stuff. And then I found Alibaba. So I started ordering like bulk stuff off Alibaba. And then that's when the school was like, nah, you can't do that. And they called Dad. And Dad came in and was like, bro, he's like, the school called me today about you selling some like stuff at school. I was like, oh yeah, come have a look at this. Because I wasn't hiding it. I just didn't need to tell anyone. No one asked me. So I like opened it up and there's just like all these chargers and cases in there and stuff like that. And I'll try and fast track this, but...
That's all right. This is good.
Yeah, and then he's like, well, you can't do it at school now. So he's like, you're going to have to work out something different. And I used to ride my bike around every Saturday morning, and I noticed that they had markets on down at the thing, right? By this time, Mum is like in a stable condition, still like severely disabled, still is to this day.
Yeah.
But she's able to drive. She's conscious and she's able to drive her own wheelchair.
That's so good.
Anyway,
amazing.
So at this stage, my dad built me a little trailer for my bike. It hooked onto, because he's like a fabricator. Yeah. So he built like me a little trailer that hooked onto my bike and got me a number plate that said Danny. So I used to put all my stock in there. Yeah. And I got a stall at the markets down in Landsborough. Yeah. And I used to ride to the markets with like my containers in the back, and I'd set up my little table there and I'd sell all my stuff over there. Long story short, in about 12 months, it ended up growing from just one table.
Yeah.
When I was, I think, 11 years old, I was selling at the Caboolture markets. Mind you, this is before any of these phone case stores in any of these businesses that you see. You had the Plaza, there's a Mill, you know, none of them were around. So here's like 11-year-old me, right, with my dad working for me, right?
full circle moment.
Yeah, legit.
Here's your $5, champ.
Yeah, legit. Right? So dad was working for me at the store and people were like, oh, your son's helping out of business. And dad was like, no, this is him. He started this. I didn't give him any money. He started this from his pocket money. Right? And it got to a stage where it was, I think I had like $20,000 worth of stock.
What?
Yeah, because like I can't make this up. See those trestle tables there? I think I had about 14 of those. I had glitter cases, phone chargers, FM transmitters, everything. I had a fish tank set up with underwater cases. I had fake phones set in there with like the screens playing to prove that they were underwater. I had like all these core flute signs made up. I had banners with Dan's iPod and iPhone accessories.
Yeah, this is crazy.
Dad got sick of coming, so I ended up paying someone $100, and they would come with me. And he was a uni student, and he was so tired, so he would just sleep in the van.
But so you're just hustling.
Yeah, I was just paying. So like I'm like 10 years old, paying this guy like $100 every Sunday to come with me to the culture markets, right? And he's just sleeping in the van, and here's like 10-year-old me just running around serving all of these people. Really bad at maths, so I used to have a short-change people all the time. Yeah. And they'd be like, oh, bro, you accidentally did. I'd be like, oh, how much change do I owe you? Because I didn't even know. Yeah. I'm not good with numbers or anything.
Terrible with numbers as well.
So, yeah, and it got to a point where I think I was like 11 or 12, not even, and I had like, I wasted so much money, right? Okay, let me tell you this, right? I was like 11 years old, had no idea about money. I wish I had an idea about money. No one taught me about money. Like my father never really taught me a whole lot about it. So my diet was like 3 cheese and bacon pies every single day, tuck shop. I'd shout my friend's tuck shop. I would buy like Nerf guns. So I had like 1,000. So I wanted Nerf guns, but we weren't allowed to waste money on them. So I created a fake giveaway thing and told dad that I won $1,000 of Nerf guns, and convinced mum that I won $1,000 of Nerf guns. So I went to the shops and spent $1,000 on Nerf guns because I told my parents that I had won like a giveaway for Nerf guns. I still haven't told them that I paid for all those.
They're about to find out.
Yeah, so
if they ever watch this,
I'm gonna get roasted. But it's ages ago. You can't get angry at me now. You should get angry at yourself for fucking believing me. I was like 10, 11 years old. How do you even think they sent me $1,000?
You're a mastermind before you're even 20, mate. You're out there just hustling. You're like, this is how it's working now.
Yeah, but anyway, fast forward from that, I got into like online stuff. I almost got myself in some very deep water with some like online shit, like just learning to program, and stuff like that. I got offered like an online Harvard University degree in like computer programming and science because I used to do computer programming.
This is crazy,
and it was all just self-taught. And then, just like moving on from all that, I made a lot of money online with like selling like, GTA 5.
Yep.
I had all the modded consoles under the thing. I had like YouTube channels. I was paying people like on Fiverr back then to like do things on YouTube channels. I had like a Sellify account. Sellify is like an old thing. It's like a Shopify thing, but you like online products. So I'd like create graphics packs and I'd do like YouTube Let's Plays and like I was just making money however I can.
Yeah, you're like
I've had like 30 different PayPal accounts over like my time because I was too young to have PayPal accounts. And it got to a stage when I was about like 13, Dad's like, okay, a pallet rocked up at the thing and I had like a computer, a chair, a desk, like 3 monitors.
Yeah.
And I was like 12 years old. I didn't have a job. No, I did have a job actually. Yep. And he was like, right, how much are they paying you at this job? What are you doing? And I was like, I had to be honest with him because I was buying all these like Astro A40 headsets and like all this
kid shit. And you're like, this is the best.
All the best stuff you can imagine, right? Like all this stuff off Umart. And Dad's like, what are you doing? Where are you getting the money from? I had an Xbox One, a PS4, a PS3, Xbox 360. Yeah. Like all the consoles are like a good computer, custom built gaming computer. He just didn't know where I was getting all the money from because I never told anyone that. Again, it came down to the fact no one ever asked me where I was getting it from. So I was just doing my own thing, right? Anyway, he asked me and he told me. I sat him down, I showed him everything. And he got really concerned. He just didn't understand what it was. He's like, are you breaking the law? I was.
A little bit.
Yeah, so a lot of people did it. Doesn't make it okay. But I was just selling like modded accounts on GTA 5. Technically, that's illegal.
But, Well,
yeah, that was
young,
the old me.
Hustling,
like,
so.
That's right. So anyway, so I was making like pretty good money off that, like very good money. Like some nights I was making like $500, and I was like freaking
13.
12 or 13 years old. Like, it's ridiculous. The YouTube channel had like 15,000 subscribers. And it got to a point where I was like, became one of the most like trusted modders in the GTA 5 community. I was like really involved in it all.
This is crazy, yeah.
So I found the kids, like, other 12-year-old kids that were like buying these consoles and making these modded accounts, but just had no idea about marketing or anything like that or how to hustle.
Yep.
So I'd pay them $5 and they would make me the accounts and I'd sell them for like $100. So it got to a point where I wasn't even like making the accounts. I was just
This is insane.
doing the middle work.
We could probably talk at this.
We've really got to wrap it up. We're like an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah, we can wrap this up. I just want to touch base just real quickly back on how we even got into this. So your mum,
Yep.
she's still alive?
Yes.
Okay.
I thought she wasn't going to be last week. She had the absolute fuck out of me.
Right.
She was found unresponsive in a wheelchair. And she was like having seizures. She didn't recognize who I was. She hasn't had seizures in like 7 years.
Yeah, okay.
It was actually scaring the absolute shit out of me.
And
it was funny. I said to her, not yet, Mum. I was like, I haven't done what I told you I was going to do. It's
is-
like, now's not your time.
This is so amazing.
But continue.
But yeah, what you were saying, so like with your, because we were just about to touch on your mum. So your whole motivation with the clothing brand, with all your side hustles, with everything, is your mum, your family, and like is it something that you want to provide? Are you trying to like buy them a house? Are you trying to, not that this matters, but it's like the I guess the message behind what you, like not the message, the drive behind what you're doing is because of all of this.
The driving factor is not necessarily my mum alone, but I think it's what I've experienced in my life and seen in my life from my mum.
Yeah.
It definitely all correlates back to my mum. I didn't watch, but I know about my mum going from a very healthy lady. My dad just worked his ass off his whole fucking life. My mum worked really hard. They bought a house together. They had two, if I do say so myself, lovely children. And
I think you're lovely.
they thought that their life was like, that was all it. Like, this is success, right?
Yeah.
And then they got real sick. Mum got real sick and it just flipped everything up on its head.
Yeah.
And I look at that and I'm like, and because my dad got diagnosed with a brain tumor too. And I looked at that and I was like, holy crap. I was like, like, am I going to get one day? I was like, is this like a genes thing? Like, the possibility's there, right? Like, I don't focus on that. It scares the shit out of me, but like, I don't know. I won't get one because I'm a much healthier person. Like in the mind than they both were. But I look at that and I'm like, what life do I want to live? Like, I want to leave a message on this earth. Like, what can I do to be different? And I think I was very observant when I was younger and I just watched how hard my whole family worked. And none of them ever had a whole lot.
Yeah.
And none of them were ever overly happy with the life that they had created.
Yeah.
Because hard work's only so much of it. Like, you have to work smart.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm a big family man. Like, so I don't want my mum to ever have to rely on like NDIS funding. She had a wheelchair because she's permanently in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
She had a wheelchair that was uncomfortable as fuck. It took like 20 months to get the funding for her to be able to get that. Like, I just found out last week when mum was in hospital that she needed an iron infusion. And because mum's like me, she doesn't like asking for help. She couldn't afford it because the government gives more money to the people that are unemployed doing nothing than they do to the people that literally can't work.
Yeah.
So she was like, she didn't tell me about it. I found out from the care home that it was like $300. I'm like, Mum, why didn't you tell me? Right? Like, she had a dentist bill like just a month ago. Her teeth were hurting, but because she's on Centrelink, she can't get a payment plan. So she can't get her teeth done until she's got $1,000, but she's never going to be able to get $1,000 together because she just doesn't get the amount of money for it because she's going to go and spend her money on coffees. And before people go, oh, well, that's stupid, she should learn to save, you need to understand that the thing that you desire the most in your life, such as buying that Lamborghini or getting that house or like whatever it may be, not just materialistic things, but they're the easiest thing to say.
Yeah.
Her going and getting her cup of coffee is that to her every single day.
Yeah, it's like that only her drive of happiness is that cup of coffee. So
her having the independence to be able to just go out and get a cup of coffee from the local shop because they know who she is, they see her roll up, they don't even have to speak to her, they just start making it because they know exactly what she wants.
Yeah.
That is her everything.
Yeah.
The little things that me and you and everyone else listening to this go through life and take for granted, such as you didn't wake up today and go, I'm so glad I can walk.
No,
Or
exactly.
I'm so glad that I can do this or do that, or like wipe my own ass, or like as bad as it sounds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's
We
the truth,
don't.
though. Like, you don't think about it because you're not.
She does.
Yeah.
She goes, I'm so grateful today I get to wake up and go get a cup of coffee, because she's been in points in her life where she hasn't been able to do that.
Yeah.
And she's been in points of her life where she nearly lost everything, and the only thing she has is family and her coffees.
Yeah.
She literally just loves it, bro. Like,
That's so good.
so my motivating factor, man, is just being able to afford everything that she wants. Like, Mum, you want that new wheelchair? Do you know how much a wheelchair costs? The wheelchair she's
They're
in
really
right now?
expensive.
Have a guess.
20 grand? Maybe more? Oh, yeah, more.
Yeah.
They are. They're very expensive.
It's the wheelchair she has is $158,000.
Oh, man, that's crazy.
That's more than a Mercedes-Benz brand new off the floor.
Yeah.
That's half of a G-Wagon.
And they don't even
Well,
go
they've
as
gone
fast.
up to 400 now.
They don't even go as far. Oh, can you soup them up?
The wheelchairs, fuck, I wouldn't want to, man. The
Sorry,
trouble
just
she'd get herself
yeah.
in the suit up. She's already a hoon. That's where I get it from. But like, do you see what I mean? Because
Yeah.
as soon as you put the disabled tax on it, and the funding takes so long to get. So my motivating factor, man, is I want to be able to provide for whatever she wants. Like, and I already do. Like, happy to give her money for anything she needs, but
Yeah.
she doesn't ask.
Yeah.
So I want to be able to get to a stage in my life where I can be like, Mum, here's $1,000 a week.
Yeah.
I don't care what you buy. Go buy dresses.
Yeah.
If you get a medical bill, oh, by the way, Mum, that last hospital visit you went on, that is your last trip in the public health system ever. You never have to go back to the public
Yes.
health system, because your son's now going to pay for private health for the rest of your life.
Oh.
That is all the goals that I got, man, and I really want to look after her. And she's my number one. I got a vision board up there, and
Yeah.
you can read it after. On the
Yeah.
vision board, there's a screenshot of a message I sent her when we
Yep.
were talking about how she was struggling for money. And I said, like, this is the last year you'll ever have to worry about money. So like, if I died in 2 years' time and I had provided for her, I'd be happy. That is like my number one driving factor. And like another one is like family. I don't want to be a 1 hour a day dad.
Yeah.
I'm excited as fuck to have kids, man.
Oh,
I don't want to have kids and wake up and go to work and come back at like 6 p.m. and be like, get to spend 2 hours with them, but I'm so buggered from work that I've got to
Yeah.
go straight back to bed. And then on the weekend, I'm like spent doing catching up on the things that I need to catch up on. And
Yeah.
like, fuck that, man. I
Yeah.
want to have kids and be able to be like present and with them every moment of the day, and being like, sit there and watch them grow up and like nurture them, and you know, like create them into the person that they're going to go out and do cooler things than I do.
This is so good. I guess we should wrap this up.
We probably should wrap this
I just
up.
want to say, man, thank you so much for sharing. Honestly, like, I didn't know where this is gonna go, and this is like,
It's
I said,
funny, you
open
didn't know about
forum.
the whole story with Mum, did you?
No, everything
Yeah.
just starts like, it just flows. But I would like to just say one thing, or like ask one question, because I'm gonna have to do this. I'm not gonna have to. I want to do this.
Yep.
Who would you recommend to come on this show to tell their story?
What's your show about? It's about being creative.
So, yeah, for anyone who's forgotten, because we had this, it's nearly 2 hours now, the show is about inspiring the uninspired, whether it be through creative, business, whatever. It is talking to creative people like yourself.
Yep.
And then however the general public take that and interpret as inspiration, then that's up to them. But
I would say Josh Payton, if you want like a photography creative, because
Yep.
his story is pretty cool. We've had him on.
Yep.
Travis Cotcheron.
Yep.
As well. He's got an incredible story. And yeah, I don't really know who else. Like, I know people, but
yeah,
they're like they're the first two people that come to my head.
perfect. That's great. This has been the first episode of Creative
Before we
Efforts.
go, where's this going to be in 12 months?
Ooh, I like questions come back.
Yeah.
In 12 months, this is going to be the biggest podcast on the Sunshine Coast.
Let's go.
Let's
Under
do
the
it.
Passion Project.
Under the under my brand.
I'll let you do your intro. Outro.
All right, so this has been the first episode of Creative Appetite. Thank you all for listening and watching. And yeah, to the next one. Let's go.
Thanks, guys.